Going for boost. Well, I think going for boost, if you're a boost merchant, like someone like AJ or someone, you go for boost.
100% of the time.
Yes.
Always, every second of every game. Ball's going in your net, don't worry about it. Go get the boost and make sure you've got the full 100 to celebrate with the other team.
Oh God. Never. Yeah, never. Always go for ball.
Yeah.
Number one rule of Rocket League.
Welcome to the Boost Over Ball podcast, where three aggressively average Rocket League players talk about everything RLCS with your hosts, Ace, Code Red Jack, Kyle Cube, and AJ Binky. So, if you've ever wondered when the best time to go for Boost Over Ball is, you've come to the right place.
We rolling?
Yep.
Taping?
Oh yeah,
Taping?
we're all good.
Beautiful. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Boost Overball podcast. This is Ace, or Code Red Jack. I have with me K-Cube, Kyle, or AJ Binky, and I actually don't know any of that stands for. I probably should. I've met the guy.
AJ Binky.
Oh, wow.
Also,
Anyway.
It should have been and, not or. We're both here.
Did I? Oh, well, this is why you don't let me do this part.
You go. I
But
said roll
anyway.
with the punches.
Thank you, everybody, for your support. All the new listeners, old listeners, everybody who's listened to us as our growing pains, from semi-all-right podcasters and terrible Rocket League players to pretty average podcasters and still terrible Rocket League players. So sit down. We got another great episode for you. You get to listen to us give more of our quote-unquote expert opinions. And then if you have the time, interest, and everything like that, it'd be great if you check out our website and our Instagram, follow us on all the different things, and we'll talk more about that at the end. I think I'll list those out because I know exactly what all those things are. Somebody jump in and save me.
Speaking of talking about things, best segue ever.
Oh,
Let's talk about the NA Spring Open.
Oh, I love talking
Oh.
about spring opens.
Do we? I don't. I don't want to have to talk about my predictions.
oh, jeez.
I mean, we all basically made the same predictions though, so it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
We all failed.
All right. Well, so yeah, miserably. All right. So yeah, got the double elimination bracket back, and it was wild. It was absolutely insane. I'm just going down the list. Upper bracket, round one. Okay, FaZe versus Hey Bro. FaZe won 3-0. Space Station swept M80. Gen G beat Furia 3-1. Dignitas lost to NRG 3-1. This is probably confusing. I'm mixing them up. Complexity sweeps. What is that? 0-2-1? Why is it so small?
Yeah, 0 to
Let me
1.
pull up the actual. Yeah, 0-2-1. Just on that. Astro Angel Tool. Okay. Version 1 sweeps Shopify Rebellion. Sup takes down G2 3-2. Ridiculous. Optic beats Koi 3-1. And that is end of upper bracket round one. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, the thing that sticks out the most is Sup beating G2 in a Game 5 thriller. I mean, I didn't really think they stood a chance when the draw came out, but they actually get they reverse sweep G2, and it's not particularly close. So I don't know what happened to G2. Kind of maybe all of their controllers died simultaneously, and they just decided that they didn't want to play anymore, or what. But a good result from Sup. Other than that, it kind of.
I think we saw the grand finals of Worlds G2 this regional. At least this round.
Yeah, for the first round they did.
After game 3, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, that was. I mean.
And then
wait, game 2.
really, the only other surprising result, in my opinion, from round 1 would be Space Station sweeping M80. I thought M80 looked good at the end of the last split, and I thought that they would continue on. And we hadn't seen what Space Station looked like after losing Daniel, so them getting a sweep is impressive, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we're about to talk about it, but yeah, that's not the only surprise I see out of Space Station this event.
Yeah, but moving into the lower bracket, we have M80 eliminating Hey Bro from the regional 3-1. We have Furia sweeping Dignitas and eliminating them. We have Shopify Rebellion sweeping 0-1 and eliminating them. We have G2 beating Koi 3-2, and then moving back up to the upper bracket for the quarterfinals.
Oh, we got FaZe versus SSG, and this one was pretty good. It goes to Game 5 with SSG beating FaZe Clan. So that one right there, I before I go into the rest, I just want to talk about that right there, because to me, to be able to beat FaZe Clan, it means that they may actually have come out stronger without Daniel than expected. Any other thoughts on that before I finish off the upper bracket quarters?
Another reverse sweep.
We told you.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
not as bad as you think.
no, they're not, and maybe they just need Daniel to get out of the way. I don't know. That's very interesting to me.
That's harsh.
I mean, I don't know that he necessarily jived with LJ to begin with. I don't think their play style suited picking up LJ. I mean, LJ is a fantastic player. He showed it in this event. They played very well. I think they needed, similar to V1, having Torment and allowing Beast Mode and Calm to do their thing. I think that is what Hockster allowed Arsenal and LJ to do in this event. So I guess we'll have to wait and see moving forward, but we'll talk about V1 here in a little bit.
Yeah. Well, moving on down the quarterfinals, we're looking at Gen G sweeping NRG, then Complexity sweeping version 1, which we just mentioned before. Version 1 did not look very hot this run, and I'm gonna let AJ talk about that at length later, because and then Optic sweeping Sup in the bottom of the upper bracket quarterfinals.
And then I'll go lowers again. We have Sup eliminating M80. We have Furia sweeping version 1. We have Shopify Rebellion eliminating NRG 3-1. And we have G2 sweeping FaZe out of the event 3-0. And then
Is this the same G2 that got reverse swept by Sup?
I feel like no, but I mean it's
Okay.
in the same day. So they regained maybe good coaching. I'm not sure, but that was a clinic that they put on against FaZe. I mean, they were scoring goals. They were playing incredible defense. Atomic was playing out of his mind, as when G2 wins, as Atomic usually does. But
They were at least close games.
Yeah.
So we didn't even get fourth clan. We got something else clan this time around, it looks like. Or do you think everybody they played against was just on it?
I don't know. I mean, we got 9th to 12th clan.
Yeah. Jesus.
But I mean, if you're FaZe Clan, in reality, there's really no excuse to get reverse swept against Space Station. I mean, Space Station played very well. That was very apparent as their run continued on after that. But getting swept by G2 is something that they really that shouldn't happen. If we saw them play in San Diego, they looked fantastic until they ran into Carmine Corp. They have beaten G2 before, and they should have done it here, but it wasn't their day, and so G2 lives to fight another round. In lower bracket round 3, we have Furia sweeping Sup and ending their unexpected run, I'll say, even though they only made it to round 3. And we have G2 sweeping Shopify Rebellion to end their run as well.
Furia, that's better than they have done recently, right?
Yeah.
They have not done well. So that's good.
Well,
I think I predicted this when we were at Worlds. I kind of thought they were gonna figure their shit out. I didn't think they would win it, but I thought they'd figure their shit out at least a little bit, and it kind of seems like they did.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess they beat Dignitas, Sup, which I guess Sup beat G2 though. So what do I know?
Well, and so like you look at these runs and like Furia did not have a cannon fodder lineup that they went up against. I mean, they started against Gen G and they lost, but then
Right.
they beat Decals. They beat Version 1. They beat Sup, the same team that beats G2, the same team that swept FaZe Clan, but they run to Furia and Furia sweeps them, right? So, I mean, that speaks one to the volatility of the way that these teams play, because each and every game is different, each and every series is different, but um, the fact that they were sweeping when they were winning says a lot. Like Furia is one of those teams that's either on or not. So they're either sweeping or they're not, and it's interesting. Um, and we'll talk a little bit more about the rest of their run in just a second here. Is there anything else that
I'll
stands
take
out to you guys?
Well, I mean, before we get started, I think we're past all the sweeps. There was a lot of sweeps in this. It was crazy.
Yeah, there were.
Yeah,
I
up
just wanted to
until
point that out.
semis.
Yeah, that was nuts. Yeah.
I mean, 5 in lower bracket round 1, 2, and 3 alone, right? And then
yeah. First round was
7
1, 2,
in the
3,
upper
4.
brackets. I mean, there
Yeah.
was a lot of sweeps. So I mean, but that the double elimination bracket does kind of lend itself to that based on seeding, right? So FaZe Clan was the number 1 seed coming into the
That's
event,
true.
and they play against Hebro, which is the lowest seed coming in, right? So it does lend itself to that. But I mean, still, like Space Station M80, I expected that to be a lot closer than it was.
Complexity version 1. That shouldn't have been a sweep.
I don't think so either. But I have a couple things that we could talk about once we get down to V1. But
Cool.
Yeah.
Into upper bracket semifinals. So Gen G beats Space Station 4-1, and Complexity beats Optic 4-1.
I mean, the teams that have been the best recently continue to be the best. Gen G takes care of business there. Complexity, disposes of Optic quite quickly. There's not a whole lot, not a whole lot else to say. I mean, the series were pretty one-sided. For both series were pretty one-sided.
Yeah, well, and so that sends Space Station Optic down to the lower bracket, where Space Station then takes out Furia 4-2. So it wasn't a one-sided match by any means. And then Optic and G2 go at it again. We're looking at 4-2. I mean, it's not Champions Field. It's not the 7th game, so it could have gone a little bit longer. But those are pretty long, 6 games out of 7. And that moves Optic and Space Station into the lower bracket semifinal, where Optic takes out Space Station. And then this is where I think that it becomes real spicy in the upper bracket final.
Yeah, but I mean, it sends Space Station Optic into the lower bracket semifinals, and Optic take that 4-2 to round out, because it's a lower bracket. Optic, Space Station, Complexity, and Gen G round out your top 4. And because Optic takes down Space Station, they become your top 3 with Gen G and Complexity. And moving into the upper bracket finals, we had a Game 7 thriller. Complexity is able to take it, and Complexity wins the series 4-3. I mean, that series kind of had everything you were looking for. Maybe a little bit of high scoring, some impressive, really, really impressive saves from Gen G, and some great play from both sides.
It was stressful. It was so stressful to watch. It was great, but it was stressful. But Gen G gets sent down to lower bracket. They immediately just beat the heck out of Optic 4-1. They only dropped the first game, and then the thing that was confusing me, and so maybe you can explain this since you do coaching. They lose game 1. They win the next 3 games, and then Optic called the timeout.
Called a timeout, yeah.
Okay. There was one of these that Gen G called a timeout, and I did not understand why.
Are you sure?
I'm trying to figure out.
Gen G versus Optic?
It's in not an Optic. It's the next one. It was one of the ones I was watching. Yeah. So after Gen G sweeps Optic, I'm just gonna roll right into the grand final here, because the storyline of Gen G at this moment is crazy. So they go Game 7 of Complexity. They get sent to the lower bracket. They make short work of Optic, and then they're back at it. It's them versus Complexity again, right? So at this point, if I understand how this works, if they beat Complexity, then it resets, right? And then they have to beat them So they would have had to beat them 2 times more. That would have been, I was hoping for it because that would have been so freaking long. But this is where it was confusing because you go Complexity wins, Gen G wins the next 2. Complexity wins, Gen G times out. And then they lose the next 2. The timeout bonus did not help them at all. But also, it was interesting for me that they called the timeout then instead of one more loss in. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I've seen Gen G call timeouts at very strange places compared to what the pattern is with other people.
I mean, to me, after losing, like, it's 4-2, 4-2, 3-2, like, all the games are close, and then you kind of get blown out, like, in quotes, right? Blown out, 4-1.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, maybe they noticed something in that game that, you know, because Jack is kind of the de facto leader of that team, right? Illusion's the coach, but, you know, Jack knows what he's talking about. So maybe Illusion or Jack noticed something that, you know, they wanted to try and adjust, like, to combat what Complexity was doing. And, you know, after losing 4-1, they maybe just tried to slow down momentum or to try and swing it back in their favor, and it did not work. Complexity fought through the timeout buff to take the series.
But, you know, even that second series was so good. I don't know. Not much more to say other than, like, Complexity beat them basically 2 times in a row and ensured that, like, they're like, no, we're the better team in this event. Just heartbreaking.
Man,
but Gen G,
that's Complexity's first ever regional win in NA as well.
Well, it's nice. Also like what, the 6th or 7th time Gen G's made it to a grand final?
Yep.
I think they've missed 1 of them because of phase.
1 regional and 1 in the winter major.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Both because phase.
I was about to say, phase did that to them both times.
Yeah, both because phase.
Okay.
Also, I just checked out their Complexity and Gen G's head-to-head record. Complexity is up 6-3 against Gen G right now.
Interesting.
That's crazy.
I mean, I know South American. I'm going to lump them in as a South American team, even though that they're not a South American team. But South American teams generally have high offense, very disruptive play styles, where, like, the first man who went for a challenge and missed it will demo you from behind, and, like, that was extremely evident, especially in that grand finals series. Like, AJG was causing massive confusion and disruption on the NRG half, rotating back to defense, and a couple of long clear goals got in, or redirects, because, you know, all of a sudden the last man back wasn't the last man back anymore. So I think that, you know, Gen G like to play a calculated ball possession passing style, and if they're getting constantly demoed as third man, they can't be as aggressive as they want to be, and I think it showed.
Interesting.
So
it was a lot of words. They were kind of big.
All right, so I suppose it's that time, huh?
Oh, God.
Prediction time. How did we do?
In our notes, we just have "we failed."
Well, the winner of this round, for the record, is Kyle, because he got one team correct for one of the places. He got Optic being in the semifinals in the lower bracket, and we missed on every other thing. Granted, I did call Complexity Gen G as the upper bracket. No, that was lower. No, I called them as lower bracket. All right, well, they both did better than I thought.
I mean,
so
technically speaking, you had 2 of the top 4 right, just the wrong place.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I think
that's still pretty impressive.
Yeah, compared to the rest of you who didn't get any of them except Optic.
Yeah. But moving forward, I've made the executive decision for predictions. We're not predicting upper and lower brackets. We're just predicting top 4 and then a winner. It'll maybe give us a little bit more of a chance. Time. Well, I will too. But, like, for the show, we'll just do top 4 and winner.
That's fair.
And it'll give us a better chance of being right, because we were on a little bit of a streak there, and then reality set in, and we just bombed.
Yeah, it's because somebody called us experts in the last episode.
Yeah, God, I wonder who that could have been.
I don't know. AJ probably.
Yeah, probably. What a dick.
All right. Well, let's let's move past our failures and learn from this and talk more about the successes and failures. I mean, we covered a little bit as we went through the bracket, but let's pull the camera back a bit on a grander scale. What really stands out to you guys as far as like any of the teams did better, worse? Give me, hit us with it.
In my eyes,
Sup beat G2.
yeah, it's a big one.
I'm just going right into it.
Yeah. Which is confusing because then G2 beats FaZe. So does that mean Sup beats FaZe? Probably not. Maybe.
Nah, that's not how it works.
This is why my predictions were so good.
But in my eyes, there's kind of 4 teams that stand out to me as maybe like your biggest winners. SSG making top 4. I don't think many people predicted them to make a top 4, even if it was, through they made upper bracket semifinals and lost to your eventual second place team in Gen G, and then you lose to the third place team Optic. But a great run for them, a great showing, and I think they will only get better with Hawkster. Complexity, they continue off of their impressive performance at the Winter Major. They win their first regional as an NA team, and they looked fantastic in doing so, beating Gen G twice. Optic, the no roster move to keep Magic Bear after it was rumored that he was going to leave, even though, for Rise or for Com and all that kind of stuff. But they had a great showing. Magic Bear played very well, in my opinion. They're able to beat G2. They get knocked down to the lower brackets by the eventual champions Complexity, but they beat they beat Space Station, and then lose to Gen G. So a really good showing for them. I think that they will use this momentum to continue to improve their results. And the last team for me is Furia. They didn't really make any roster moves after picking up Lost after the fall split. They had a little bit down of a winter split for their standards. They weren't in contention for any of the majors, but making round 3 is pretty good. I think that's definitely a step in the right direction. I was kind of thinking that they may start to fade into the background a little bit, but I think that the win over V1 will help their cause a little bit, give them a little bit of a reason to be hopeful for the next regional event.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and then let's take a look at some of the more tragic storylines, starting with what I think is the most tragic one, which is NRG is continuing to look like they're kind of being left behind by the rest of the competitive scene. As far as I could tell, they don't, obviously they're still one of the best teams in the world. They keep making all these events and they are competing, but I mean, they were knocked out by Shopify this time. They just didn't look very good. Another team that has not been really showing up lately is Dignitas. And I think they won 1 game this event in their 2 series. And then, FaZe did FaZe Clan things. They phased down. They phased down in a big way this time around.
9th-12th clan.
9th-12th clan. Yeah. Being swept by our second place overall almost world champions from last season, G2. So, it's a tough break for those teams, and I really hope that they can figure out what it is and get themselves, FaZe, I'm leaving FaZe out this part because they are still competitive. They just, for some reason, have an on and off switch. But yeah, I really want Energy and Dignitas to figure it out and come back swinging. I would love to see them take a top 4 position again and start, figure out what it is they need to figure out.
When was the last one Dignitas did good in?
I mean, Dignitas made not with like incredible results, but not. They won a couple series, but they made, in my opinion, I still think that they stumbled into a winter major spot. I don't think that they really they just were the best of the rest, basically.
Oh, that's right. That's what I was thinking of.
So they made the major, but they didn't really make any waves there. They didn't really make any waves when they could have clinched it on their own accord. So I think that, we can talk about it now, I guess, actually. Impromptu topic, but I mean, there's 4 spots, right? Like
for NA?
For Worlds?
There's 5, sorry. There's 5 spring major spots for NA.
Oh.
Right? So you figure FaZe and Gen G continue continue to perform enough to be there, right? You figure G2 does enough to stay there. That's 3, right? So Dignitas, I think they're dropping out. And Complexity, I think, is staying there too. So you got 4 teams that I think realistically should be continuing to fight for those spots. And then you have teams like Optic, Version 1, Space Station. Potentially a Furia or a Shopify to come up into there. But, you have 4 or 5 teams competing for that last major spot. It makes every series important. And I think, Optic did a great job to set them up for future success. I think Space Station did a good job. I think V1's got a little bit of work to do, but personally, you look at the Complexity series where they get swept, they're all 1-goal games, right? So, that's, maybe a little bit of continuing to build chemistry stuff. You look at the Furious series, those are all 1-goal games except for game 3, and that's, probably them throwing everybody at the net at the end of the game for a goal. So, even though they get swept twice, the results still look positive in my opinion. But it'll be interesting to see down the stretch as we continue to move through these regional events, if who differentiates themselves like kind of the best of the rest, right? With Version 1, Space Station, Optic, and either Furia, Shopify, or one of the other teams that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
But
yeah, they were all close gamers, weren't they?
Yeah, it's a good showing for them. I think that first event for them that actually just was 3v3 the whole time.
They did really well in 3v3 in the Gamers 8 qualifiers, though.
They did,
which kind of surprised me. But that, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you think the fact that they could rely on BMO and Daniel, helped their mentality?
Maybe.
I also think as a whole.
I also think Gamers Without Borders or Gamers 8, whichever name you're using, it's kind of a more of a stress-free environment, right? It's more laid back. They are playing
That's
1s
true.
and 2s, so Daniel and Beast Mode can continue to do the nutty things that we know that they can. So maybe the pressure got to them a little bit. Maybe they're still trying to figure out how they all fit into the system that they want to play. I think Fireburner has maybe the best mechanically talented roster he's ever coached, but maybe they don't gel the same way as they did with Torment. So Daniel's a very good defender, so I think it'll be interesting to see how they continue to come together as the split goes on. I certainly don't see them getting double swept to get knocked out of a regional happening again.
Yeah.
I think that for the Spring Cup, I think we will see a much better performance from V1.
So you're saying no more version 9-12?
Yeah, I think maybe
Back to version 1?
Yeah, maybe some growing pains and maybe some bad luck coming
Yeah.
against Furia, because Furia needed to do something in this regional to put themselves in any kind of contention for a major or to even salvage any hopes of making a world championship. So, a very, very, very motivated Furia and, coming off of a sweep against Dignitas. It's just kind of unfortunate, back-to-back series, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how they grow.
Yeah.
Because, I think their ceiling is higher than anybody's.
I would agree. And then...
We just gotta wait for it.
Yeah. And then Ace, we were on the bandwagon for Worlds, the Space Station bandwagon. With their performance this event, do you think this is what we should expect from them moving forward, or do you think that they, were lucky to get where they did?
I don't think we have enough data to make an accurate prediction, but I would like to see that Space Station is back and on top form and, going back and doing Space Station things. I'm withholding any real judgment of them until we see them again in the next event, mainly because with the new roster change and everything like that, this could either have been a fluke or this could be the new pattern to see, and maybe they have moved themselves into being the top 4 NA team. I'd like to see that. I think it might be too late for them to make Worlds, even if they do, unless I think they need to win the next 2 events to have that chance, because they think they're 35 points behind the next person.
Yeah.
That storyline sounds phenomenal, but The next person in this story though is G2, so I think it's possible.
That's fair.
But we'll
I
see.
can say you sounded a lot different than you did last week on SSG.
Listen, I'm a Fairweather fan, and I don't pretend to be anything else. All right.
That's fair. I get that.
I mean,
I've been holding on to Gen G all season, and they keep disappointing
Yeah.
me, which is really rude because they
Disappointingly,
are.
they always get second.
I know, but second is the first place loser.
It's
What?
also first place loser when it comes to qualifying for worlds and stuff.
That's fair, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Gen G is absolutely phenomenal, and I will continue rooting for them. I need to know that they're going to actually win this freaking thing already, right? Like,
Win what?
because the whole thing.
Major?
I just want them to win the whole. I want them to be the world championship. I want them to be the world champion. Granted, that's way out there, everything like that. I'm really rooting for Gen G. I really like apparently Jack and Nolly and oh no,
Chronic.
thank you. My brain's all like that information that you just had a few seconds ago. I'm throwing that out. You don't need it right now as you talk about it. Is that true? And I'm like, no, that's not true. Please bring that back. Thank you. Anyway, but yeah, I'm excited about Gen G. I am also really excited to see SSG come back because at Worlds, as you all know, the only merch I bought was an SSG shirt, which I immediately wanted to burn when they got rid of Retals. So I want them to be back, so then I don't have to feel weird wearing a shirt for a team I don't like.
Just hop on the V1 bandwagon.
I
They're
look
gonna
good
be
in
nuts
purple.
here in a second, anyways. Oh, everybody looks good in purple. Trust me.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think that there was many people that were thinking SSG were gonna be, like, how do you lose someone like Daniel and get better, right?
Yeah,
like
seriously.
at least right away, right? Like maybe like stylistically or like from a team chemistry standpoint, like you get better over time. But I mean, this is they beat FaZe.
Yeah,
I mean,
what was?
FaZe turned out to
I
not
don't
be
remember
that good.
where
this
it
one,
was, but like the last series SSG played with Daniel, Daniel just like went rogue and like just tried doing everything on his own and like wasn't calming and stuff. I can't remember where I heard that. Maybe it was Chalkcast or something, but like obviously he didn't want to play for them anymore.
Yeah,
If that's true.
I mean, I could see it. I mean, he's been, playing a lot of twos before the roster move happened. He's been playing a lot with beast mode, so they certainly have the chemistry there, and I believe that they're friends as well. But great showing from Space Station. But I mean, there's a couple people that thought that they might do decently, but I don't think there's a lot of people that thought they'd make top 4.
Yeah, like it's just an improvement for Space Station, it feels like right now.
Yeah, it certainly does.
So-
Maybe even like just addition by subtraction, right? So just
Yeah.
as good of a player as Daniel is, maybe it just wasn't like a chemistry fit for them. So it's exciting to see another team competing for those major and those world championship spots. It makes it more entertaining as a viewer.
Yes, it does.
absolutely.
But the last point I kind of have on this one is this the Optic that we've expected to see since Optic was formed? Magic Bear actually looked really good. I mean, there's been a kind of a storyline going through that Magic Bear is the ultimate scrim player. He pops off in scrims. He plays fantastically. He carries the team, and then once RLCS shows up, Magic Bear goes away. So he had himself a good showing. Optic makes top 3. Is this something that we should expect from them, or do you think it's maybe it's an outlier?
Magic Bear's gonna carry him to victory next time.
Okay.
They're gonna win. They're gonna win the next regional.
Ooh. Okay.
Okay, well, I'm not actually like. That's not my prediction, but
And we'll do those predictions next week.
Yeah,
those
well,
Minnesota boys, they go hard.
looking at you look back at the last couple events, right? I mean, they didn't make the major, so we didn't get to see how they would have performed if they were there. But you look at like the Winter Invitational, and they had a deep run. And I remember when we were talking about that, everybody was really surprised at how deep a run Optic made in that. That was when they really showed themselves. And they're showing again that they can continue doing that. So they're really on an upswing right now, and I'm excited about it. It might be too little, too late to make worlds, but it's good to see more of the competition out there. I really like what I'm seeing out of Optic, and I wanted to continue.
Fair.
Wait, where's? Hold up. Why can't? Oh, there it is. Just kidding. I found it.
But speaking
So,
of,
wait.
go ahead.
NA gets 4 spots.
For
I
what?
thought you said 5. For the major.
For major, it's
Wait,
5.
this is.
5 each. 5 for Europe, 5 for NA. But for Worlds, it's 4.
Oh, I'm looking at worlds. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let me.
Yeah. But
Okay.
speaking of World Championships, we'll take everyone. We'll take you guys around the world to see some of the results that happened from other regions in RLCS this past weekend. Starting with OCE. We have Team Power coming back to win a regional, beating Ground Zero in Game 7, coming from the upper bracket, so there was no bracket reset. And we have Pioneers finishing 3rd. So kind of the 3 teams in that region that we expect to be on top were, maybe not necessarily in the order that we thought, but Power seems to be re-emerging as one of the powerhouses in OCE.
Well, and we can move on and to cut this. My brain did not work. All right.
Oh, are we on the Mina one now?
Yeah.
Wait. I'm green. Never mind. Go ahead.
So, moving on into the MENA region, my favorite, Rule 1, is yet again showing their dominance. I mean, I think they end up winning the whole thing overall, and throughout the entire thing, they drop 2 games. And it's kind of an interesting storyline because Team Falcons is really nowhere to be seen in this. They get to as far as the lower bracket semifinals where they lose to Twisted Minds. But the grand final was Rule 1 versus Infinity. The upper bracket final was also Rule 1 and Infinity, where Rule 1 swept Infinity. Infinity comes back after beating Twisted Minds and then takes 2 games off of Rule 1, but Rule 1 was looking dominant. And if they continue this, then we'll probably see them at Worlds, which will be exciting. We might even see them at Boston. Are they going to be at Boston?
If they qualify for it, Mina gets 1 spot for the major.
Let's go, Rule 1. Hell yeah. All right. I don't have favorites.
Never. We're professionals.
Yeah. Who would do that? Right?
Not this guy.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I assume, yeah. So, EU Spring Open preview. Let's talk about it. I really need to turn on streamer mode on Discord.
All right, let's
Give me
talk
one
about it. All right, so
Where the fuck is it? There we go. Enable. Okay. All right, no more getting distracted now. We're good. Okay. EU. First of all, I'm gonna open up with the question: How we feeling? How we feeling about Moist?
I mean, I think that picking up Cash was a great addition for them. I think that they're going to see some pretty good results. I'm excited to see them play. I think that Cash is going to be just what the doctor ordered for them.
Good deal. I like to hear that because you're smarter than I am. And I like Moist. All right, so
Let's get wet.
yeah, dude, you're telling me. All right, so with all the roster moves happening, who do you think is coming out on top? Who's made changes?
I mean, you see changes from BDS picking up Rise from Oxygen, Oxygen replacing Rise with EXO, kind of a trickle down effect, right? Vitality picks like Zen is eligible to play now. Moist picks up Cash. Razier's is going to Monkeys. G1 picks up Oli after dropping Mark by 8. There was a lot of shifting that happened here, and I'm interested to see if if the top 4 shake out the same way as they did in the last split.
Okay. Ace, thoughts?
let's see. My thoughts are pretty well. The only real thought I have about this is that I see that German Amigos has been picked up. Right? They are now Paris Esports or Tundra. So that's phenomenal. Good for them. They were making some very deep runs for being a completely what do they call it? Non-picked up team
Yeah.
I'm an expert. But yeah, so they've been picked up. They're official now. But I don't know if all the roster changes changed a lot. For me, like I'm just gonna throw my predictions right out there. I think my top four are still the same, are still the four for the top four for the region, which I need to back up with facts. So let me just quickly look at this. Yeah. So I see Carmine Corp, Liquid, Auction, Moist being our top four, and I see Carmine Corp still winning it overall. For me, I kind of feel like EU, the European region as a whole, is this kind of a settled business. The only kind of questionable movement would be between Moist and Vitality, or if the roster move with G1 makes a real effect. And if it does, then G1 has a very good chance of taking Moist out of the top four. But at the moment, I'm calling it staying the same.
Okay. I'll go second then. And my top four, I have Carmine Corp, Team Liquid, Moist, and for my fourth, I actually have Team Vitality. I think Zen will make a real difference for that team. I think, paired along with some of the veteran leadership from Alpha 54, Radosin will look to continue his breakout season. And, with the big brain Farah coaching, I think that they are poised for immediate success with Zen. But I do have my overall winner being Carmine Corp as well.
I want to change my answer. I completely forgot about Zen.
That is
I'm
fair.
keeping it. I'm keeping it as it is, so we have some difference. Because otherwise, you and I just agree, and that's boring.
That is super boring. And that's why I... Just kidding. I haven't even decided on mine yet. I'm still looking at the bracket right now. So, obviously, Carmine Corp. Like,
I think that's a given.
I hate to say it, but it has to be said. I mean, Carmine Corp's gonna win, though.
I know. Well, I pulled myself away from Kyle, and then you just brought me back in line with you.
Well, I blame you.
That's fair. That's
Dang.
fair. Well, you know what? This is the worst part of the show. It's the part where we have to say goodbye, because eventually every single week this has to end. And I think about an hour of us is about as much as anybody can take. So I'd like to say thank you all for your time. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing, subscribing, liking, and all that fun stuff on our different social media. As always, please make sure you check out our website. And, as we always say here,
Where can we find the website again?
www.boostoverball.com.
I knew this. I just wanted to give Kyle his chance to shine. He's got a voice for that kind of thing. But anyway, remember to always choose Boost over Ball.
Thank you for listening to the Boost Over Ball podcast. Make sure to check out our website, www.boostoverball.com, and rate us wherever you listen to podcasts.